Yo, what's good? You tuning into a different style of the Notion podcast. You already know who it is. It's your boy Dizzy D Spill. And basically, I wanted to add another series that I kind of wanted to cover. I talked to one of my close friends about doing this because we always talk about, different life experiences and things that he's dealing with right now. He's in the process of, well, not in the process, but he's mainly dating. And so I say, yo, man, I would love to share some of your stories and some of your experiences that you tell me about. Because a lot of times when this day and age, when you get into the YouTube space, when you get into the social media space, gossip pages, there's this tug of war, there's this battle between men and women as far as who's right, who's wrong, what standards are high, what standards are crazy or not attainable. But what made it unique for me to start telling stories from my bro is some of the crazy experiences that he's had, right? And he would always call me right after, or he would hit me up and be like, man, you'll never believe what just happened. And so I said, okay, cool. We got it. I kind of want to talk about this on my show, and he's not the type of person to be on camera and things of that nature. So I was like, all right, well, I'll figure out something unique. And he agreed to let me tell the stories. Of course, I'm not going to tell you his name and things of that nature, but I definitely got to share a story with you. I guess I'll call this Diaries of the Hustler. Another one from my bro. So basically, my boy is very interested in a serious relationship. He's not he's not on no player stuff. He's a workaholic and things of that nature. And he does have a type. He's willing to admit that he has a type. And some of these women that fall in the category of his type probably should, I don't know. I wouldn't spend my time dealing with some of the things that he's had to deal with, but to be fair to him, he doesn't waste his time either. But it's some of the things that some of these women are saying online is very true. How their behavior in these memes are very true based off of his experiences. So, one of the stories that I'll go with was this particular woman. We call her J1, right? Because he ended up meeting a woman that had a similar name as her, and we call her J2. So J1, it seems like she came from like a decent amount of women. They come from a home where they're sheltered a little bit, and mommy and daddy take care of everything. All they got to do is go to school, blah 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 blah, right? And so he would come out here, where I'm from, out here to visit the girl. And when he would come out and visit her and hang out with her, then he would stop by and see me and my people, whatever the case is. We'd chill, politic, chop it up, catch up, whatever. And he would tell me how the date went, and it would always be something that was a little off, but he was like, man, we'll see. But this particular time, mind you, he was real respectful, with this woman. He wasn't trying to hurry up and, get the drizzles or anything like that. He was just mainly I'm going to try to take things slow. I don't want her to think the wrong thing about me, whatever, right? And so what ended up happening was they went on a particular date, and he's very specific on saying exactly what he does as far as in a career. And that's because there's, when you tell somebody, a lot of times when people want to know what you do for your career, and this is just my opinion, some people are intrigued. But for the most part, people ask you what you do for a career. They're trying to see on what level they should judge you on, how much they should respect you. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it for what it is. I've been into too many scenarios for myself and witnessed too many scenarios that other people were in to where that judgment thing is real. And so the thing is he makes really good money. He manages his money well. He makes really good money. He's a workaholic. Like I said, he's crazy about that overtime. When he takes off, he wants it to be worth it, even though he is entitled to vacation like a lot of us are that work invested in the company, right? And so she was just kind of like trying to pick apart, his character, whatever the case is. And, the subject came about like cars and stuff like that. And obviously she's one of the type of women that are into materialism. I mean, a lot of women are, most women are. And so what ended up happening was a subject of a Range Rover came up. And, he said, yeah, I could afford to get something like that, but it's just not worth it. The problem, the headache, the depreciating value, it's not worth it. And they were at dinner, and she basically said that but he couldn't afford it. And he was kind of like, what are you talking about? No, I can. I just don't want to. And a lot of people have a tendency to think that when somebody says I can do this or I can buy that, but I just don't feel like it, that they're lying. And that's what's wrong with today with social media. It's like, if you didn't post it, it never happened, right? So people will automatically try to discredit you and they'll try to take away what you're trying to explain. And so he was taken back. He was like, what are you talking about? Like, I can. You don't really know what I'm dealing with or how I conduct myself. And she was like, no, I can tell. You just can't. And I think that mindset gets a lot of people in trouble. But since the conversation is about a woman, and these are stories about my boy dealing with women, I think a lot of women make bad judgment calls a lot of times, either too fast or too slow. And what I mean by that is, like, you make a judgment call too fast based off of maybe a presentation or your analysis on something without really doing heavy research or asking the right questions. You take too long in the same instance when you keep ignoring red flags. And men, we fall victim to the same mistakes too. And so that situation didn't last long. They didn't date long. I think there was another time where she came to see him, whatever the case was. He was respectful. Like, hey, I'll get you a room and somewhere to stay. Like, I ain't got to stay with you or nothing like that, because I don't want you to think I'm trying anything like that. And that threw her off too. And it was interesting to me because we live in a time, I just seen a video not that long ago where a woman was talking about how she doesn't like nice guys. In this day and age, I feel like there's a confusion between women between not liking nice guys and not even knowing how to identify good men. And I seen Anton Daniels, he had his take on it and he agreed with some of the things that she said. And I see where both perspectives are coming from, but me, I disagree. Like, somebody that's kind and somebody that's nice and somebody that's not really all that combative doesn't necessarily mean they're bad for situations. Some people can diffuse a lot of situations without getting physical or even raising their voice, and I envy people like that, because I've made a lot of decisions in my life where I've gotten really angry and I've went in, or I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have went too hard like I did. So I think being a good person, I think being a good guy, or being even a good woman in some cases, they get a lot of flack for not having this hard exterior or this chip on their shoulder. And in this situation with my boy, I just really felt like here's a great example of a woman basically in a lot of ways not being too kind, but definitely being disrespectful when it comes to judgment, which is something that we shouldn't do as individuals. But you most likely missed out on a good guy, a nice guy, a guy that will respect you, won't call you out your name, won't have 3 or 4 females DMing you, or what, stuff that women deal with. And it also, a light bulb went off when we had this conversation, because I started thinking about how a lot of women say how difficult it is. I have a theory. I don't know how I'm going to prove it, but I have a theory. And my theory is that most of these women that are complaining about men at least passed up on 1 or 2 good guys, nice guys. But because they didn't like something about him, because he wasn't 6'1" to 6'5", or because he seems corny, or the type of things that he's into, you pass them up, and then you be looking for him when you're alone and 40-something years old. This is a real thing. A lot of women, the older they get and the more messed up experiences they deal with, they find themselves thinking about people that they didn't do dirty. I've been taught from the men of my family that, try your best to treat them as good as possible. When you leave, they're going to think about you. They're going to try to double back. And I haven't really experienced a scenario where that wasn't wrong. The people that I treated decent, the people that I treated right, they tried to double back in some way, somehow. They probably weren't super duper obvious with it, but it does happen. And I just think that, we're in a climate right now where men want to be understood, women want to be right. And I'm not saying everybody, but let's keep it a buck. The majority, right? The majority. This is the situation. But I do have a message for the men. I think you guys, the men that are really handling business. I'm not talking about the scrubs. I'm not talking about dudes that are just trying to find the right in a conversation and they never do anything right 24/7. But the men that have their stuff together, the men that are not trying to be flashy, the men that are not trying to impress and trying to break the bank and go into debt just so a woman can respect them on a financial level, keep doing what you're doing, because you're just going to keep having more options the older you get. That's just how it works. Our prime, even financially, doesn't start until 40s and 50s. You know what I'm saying? For the majority of us, right? For the women, my advice to you is be very careful. Do research. I do think that people do deserve to be in solid situations, solid relationships, healthy relationships, and I feel like there's a lot of advice that are being given to women that are on a harsh level, but they are true. The advice is true at the same time. But I feel like when a lot of women give advice to each other, it comes from a place of hurt, pain and frustration and bias and feminism. I mean, you name the ingredient, it's probably going to be in that pot that they serve it to you. And I just think that women, do your research. When it comes to the type of men that y'all want, or when it comes to what y'all want from us, do your research on it. When you guys say that, I want a man that makes $100,000 and this, that, and the other. Well, let's break down some statistics for a minute before I wrap this up. The average man makes $52,000. The average woman makes around $39,000, right? 6% of black people make over $100,000. Now, when you get into degrees and all that stuff, the numbers can change a little bit. So when you guys are talking about you're looking for a man that makes ... just know that when you find 20 women on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else talking about this is the type of man I want, and this is what they need to have, and you hear women saying that, understand that all of you guys are fighting for that 6%. Now, you will have women like Ebony K and people like that'll say, well, that's settling. No, these are the numbers. And it runs deeper than men not putting forth the effort. At the end of the day, a lot of people don't want to acknowledge the type of work that some of these men that are making $50,000 and less are doing. That's blue collar work. Blue collar doesn't get the respect that they deserve. Blue collar workers built this country and are continuing to build this country. They make things happen. Those were your essential workers 4 years ago when all of you guys were locked up in the house and couldn't go to the club and couldn't get free drinks and get in for free and everything else. They were out there busting their ass, making things happen. So I just advise women to do research. If there's men that you guys seek that make a certain amount of money that don't involve drug dealing and scamming and the things that you guys keep complaining about on social media, do the research on what type of careers they are. And let's keep it a buck. Like, if you're the type of person that likes to have a lot of fun and you're outgoing and stuff like that, some of these people in this top 6%, mainly black men, if that's what you're looking for, they don't really have time for that. They're really serious. They have a serious position in society, so they don't have a lot of time for fun and games. Maybe a little bit of traveling, but it ain't gonna be what you think. It ain't gonna be a music video every night. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So I advise doing some research. That woman that my boy dated, I could tell that she was extremely shallow. We had a conversation about her earlier this week. You know, she's in her mid-30s, looking very single. And I'm not saying that if you're single in your 30s that you're doing bad, but this, you know, obviously we have goals by a certain age. Obviously, you know, from what he told me about the girl, she was looking for the right situation and she still hasn't found it. And I just think that she definitely missed out on somebody, you know, with a lot of naive behavior, immaturity, and a very shallow mindset. So that's a little bit. That's just the introduction to another series I'm going to add on the notion. This is a conversation that is important to me because within our culture, within the black culture, we do have a hard time with a lot of commitment. When we talk about marriage, when we talk about divorce, we talk about baby mamas and alimony and child support, and it's a real big mess. And it's not 100% our fault, right? It's not 100% the black people's fault. You know, there's the system. It's not 100% men's fault. It's not 100% women's fault. But it is our fault when it comes to our mindset and how we respond and react to these things. So I'll be telling more of these stories, and I'll be giving more tips and information on what I think should happen in the future regarding this. Until next time, you already know who it is. It's your boy Dizzy D Spill, host of the Notion Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave comments. Let me know what you think in the comment section, on the shorts, wherever. Follow us. Give me conversations. Give me scenarios. I might tell one of your stories if you DM me something. Till next time, peace.